webinar is going to be recorded and will be available publicly. So previous webinars are also available on our website, and we will be sharing the link with you in the follow-up email that you'll get after the session today. So hi everyone, that's me lurking in the weeds there. My name is Andrea Jacob, and I'm a business advisor here at WBC. I would like to acknowledge that I live and work on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples. So that's Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam First Nations. You can feel free to include in the chat what traditional territories you are joining us from. So for today, if you have questions for our panelists, I'd encourage you to put them in the Q&A section, and you can see this at the bottom of your Zoom window there. As well, we'd love to hear from you if there is a topic you would like us to consider for future webinars, always open to suggestions. So you can let us know the topic in the feedback poll that you will see at the end of the session. Okay. I just wanted to remind everyone really quickly that WBC is here to provide support for your small business journey. We offer financing to get businesses started and operating capital to fuel growth. We offer more flexibility than traditional lenders because we take a holistic approach and provide loans based on your business viability, not just on formulas. So this means that we provide loans to a diverse range of women-owned businesses and support you with integrated services, including complementary training, mentoring, and business advising. From essential business skills development to personalized business advice, we know the right questions to ask and the right resources to connect you with. In our mentoring programs, you can connect with a network of women entrepreneurs and experts around BC who can support and inspire you. You can learn more about our services at webc.ca and sign up for emails that notify you of new programs. We always have a ton of great offerings that are coming down the pike. All right, so for today, artificial intelligence, AI, is everywhere. If you're growing your business, it can help you create efficiencies and grow faster, but you need to be strategic about how you use it. So how do you identify where AI can be most helpful for you? How much should you budget? And how much time does it take to set up? Join us to hear from two tech entrepreneurs who are leveraging AI to grow their businesses. They'll share key AI tools, how they've integrated them into their workflows, and some lessons learned along the way. So welcome to Lawrence and Maya. So Lawrence is the CEO and founder of OneFeather. Maya Adly is the CEO and founder of Roar. So I'm going to turn it over to them. And maybe Maya, you can give us a brief introduction of yourself and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Maya. Previously, I started in the telecommunications industry working with TELUS, growing their sales team here in Western Canada. I transitioned into fintech, working with payment processing for about 3 years, and that's when I started my own company here, Roar. It's been about 3 years into the journey right now, and what we basically do is we're an AI-powered personal assistant. So we aggregate all of the booking platforms into one to really give consumers that streamlined accessibility when going to book any appointment, whether it's beauty, personal, travel, or medical in general.
Great. And Lawrence, maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today. I'm Lawrence Lewis. I'm from the Wee-Wee Nation on Vancouver Island, living now in Victoria with my family on the traditional territories of the Songhees, the Esquimalt, and the Lekwungen-speaking people. So really fortunate to be living here in this beautiful city of Victoria to do the work that we do. We are an Indigenous technology company, and what we build are Indigenous digital credentials that unlock barriers to programs, services, benefits that otherwise are hard to access because of just antiquated processes, paper-driven processes, or which by accident or design continue to isolate, discriminate, or otherwise limit access for Indigenous people. So we take those processes and we create a digital solution around that. An example of that is electronic voting, status card renewal, and direct access to payments through our fintech solution on various types of entitlements available to Indigenous people across the country. So really pleasure to be here and talk about the subject matter today. Galikesla, thank you.
Great. Okay, so to kick things off, if you were thinking about, daily routine business tasks, what are some of the AI tools that small businesses could be using today for those things that can help to increase efficiencies, productivity, etc.?
I'll go first if that's okay. Is that okay? Yeah. I think there's a whole suite of AI solutions out there, and I think the important thing to do right off the bat is just identify what the core problem is you're hoping to solve. So that could be a specific pain point or an inefficiency in your operation or something that you think AI could address. It's really important to be really clear about what you're trying to do because AI works best when it has a very clear and defined objective. And then the trick then is to use the right tools. The irony there a little bit is that the AI, any AI tool like ChatGPT or Cloud could actually help you refine that search. But there's any number of tools out there from OpenAI's ChatGPT to Claude.ai to Evie.ai to Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. There's a whole suite of them out there. But I think the first piece to do is just figure out what exactly you're trying, what core problems you're trying to solve before selecting the tools that you want to use.
Absolutely. To touch upon that, artificial intelligence, it could be scary and daunting and seem like a very big ordeal to kind of implement into your business. But I want you guys to really think of it as a simple solution, as a personal assistant. And so the first thing that I would personally do is utilize ChatGPT or something like that, where you can think of it as Google talking back to you. So what AI is really good at is analyzing data and honing in on information and making assumptions based on that data. And so when you're thinking about how to implement it or even where to start, you can utilize ChatGPT or a similar functionality like that. Lawrence, you mentioned quite a few here that can be utilized. But talk to it as if you're talking to Google. For example, if you're doing a Google search of marketing campaigns, what works best, you can actually utilize that in ChatGPT. Or if you're trying to find a slogan or a logo or anything like that, you can actually utilize that functionality to just throw ideas out there. Just like Lauren said, you need to narrow down where you want to focus the AI and what you really need it for. But there's basically a tool out there for everything, whether it's customer support or image creation or marketing or whatever the case may be. You can find something out there that fits within your business. But again, it definitely does, go back to what your needs are. And so you can literally ask ChatGPT to give you guidance in regards to that and where to look. And, you can even ask it for price points and all of the fun features that every company or every platform would offer. And you can do your analysis from there. It's not supposed to replace anything. It's meant to enhance how you operate and how you go about your train of thought or, making decisions. So use it as a data analysis tool to begin with. And you can even use it for social media, for marketing, creating captions, anything whatsoever. So it all depends on what you guys truly need.
Yeah, if I could just build on that a little bit, because I think it's really important and I think what I hear Maya saying is that you just got to dive in and you got to do it, right? That's the thing, right? And you got to get in there and you got to ask questions. And just a short, quick story with my son. He's 14 years old and he's learning to code on a piece of software called Unity. And so he wants to build a game. So we opened up Claude AI on my account, and I said, I want you to treat this AI as your instructor or as someone, as a book of knowledge. So you just need to ask the question. And so he's going through this process, and he's like, "Well, what do I do next?" And I'm as he's working in Unity, and I'm like, "Well, ask Claude what to do next. Like, give them some context, and then just ask." And he did that. And in the course of an hour, he built his first game. The objective was to build a game, so that's what he was doing. Those are the context of the questions he was asking, and of course, some code had to be developed along the way. And he asked Claude to write the code to help him do the end task. And he says, "Well, I want to understand how the code works." And I said, "Well, that's a different objective than building the game, right? If you want to learn how to do the code, that's a follow-up conversation with Claude, and Claude will walk you through all the meaning of that code and how to do that. But they're separate things. So asking that question or being really focused on what you're trying to do in that endpoint is key. But the nice thing is you can always circle back and learn the components that you need more intelligence on, or that you want some more experience or just more knowledge about. But the trick is just to get in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I mentioned, kind of like how you talk to Google or ask Google questions, think of Google talking back to you. And instead of you having to go website to website to analyze
Mhm.
this data, it already has that information, can talk to you as if, it's somebody sitting in front of you that has all the knowledge of Google.
Yeah.
And so anytime, let's say you're reading an article about, let's say, marketing, and a question pops up in your head, you can actually ask that question to ChatGPT and it will, reply as if it did all the research for you based on that question. And so I think there's a lot of ways to utilize it, but as a starting point, I would really encourage people to just get used to the chatbot. Use it as your personal assistant or your mentor, as Lawrence
Mhm.
mentioned, and just, any questions that come up after you read the reply from ChatGPT, for example, ask those questions back. Get those insights from them, because all it truly really does is cut down that data analysis for you and gives you the answers right away. And again, obviously use your own judgment.
Personally, as a business advisor, one of the things I recently entered in that was really powerful was, in considering my clients, what to negotiate in a lease. And it's a very simple question, but it was quite powerful because this is something that could impact businesses and really change, a 5-year lease agreement.
Mhm.
Um, Okay, so if we were looking at cost, how much would you say that someone should plan to budget in order to implement and run some basic AI tools in their business?
Well, I think if you're starting out, the cost is zero. You don't need to spend any money. You just need to get out there and try some of the free versions of this of these solutions, and get and build your skills at using those tools. I want to say too that there are a lot of tools out there that are no code or low code kind of AI tools. So you don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to have any special technical skills to get in here and use this stuff. There's lots of free versions, ChatGPT, all of the AI tools out there currently have free versions. Again, identify how you want to use the AI, use the free version, build your skill sets around that. And the skill sets are really about being very clear and a defined objective, good, solid questions. How you ask those questions is really important. So you have to almost come at it from a very logical, progressive approach. I used my son as an example previously. One of the first things he did was type in about 8 questions to Claude, and I'm like, no. Let's let them know. Let's let Claude know you have 8 questions, one, and then ask him to go, and then ask him her. See, I'm already anthropomorphizing this technology, which is a horrible thing, but ask the technology or ask Claude to walk you through each one of those one at a time, and ask the AI to ask clarifying questions about the task. And so the technology is so quickly developing that a lot of these solutions now will you can ask, like, where am I wrong here? Or what am I missing here? Or give me suggestions on how to improve what I'm doing. And then task those out and follow up, or create a schedule for me to do this. And let's check off these tasks one at a time. Be my educator here. Help me go through this. Let's do these one at a time. Create an artifact, create a document that creates all the documentation necessary for the work that we're doing. So that the real important part first is not to pay for something, but to just get really good at using it and validating and checking the work that's coming, and then asking clarifying questions or giving better instructions over time. And so that with that use and the results you receive, you'll get really good at asking really great, concise questions and getting a whole treasure of information that will serve you well. All the paid versions out there, they are oftentimes multiple times better than the free versions, which is great because the minute you start paying for something, it has to generate a return for you. Otherwise, it's a loss. Why would you spend the money? And so, start paying when you're ready and when you can actually demonstrate that tool is adding value to your operation and your organization. But get really good at using it first before you start paying for it.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with Lawrence. Lots of free options out there, so you don't have to dive into your wallet right away. Utilize those first, and then figure out what tools you truly need to advance your business, and then figure out, the price points for that. And you can actually ask ChatGPT for the pricing, all in one question there. So, but to go back to what Lawrence said, and even Andrea. When you asked it to analyze a lease, for example, or to see what questions to ask when negotiating a lease, and going back to what Lawrence said about the questions that you're asking, prompts when utilizing AI is the most important thing. And so something that I would highly recommend is absolutely getting, really good at asking those questions. And something that I've found very useful is when I'm asking any question whatsoever, I ask it to pretend to be that individual. So let's say you are writing, let's say we're talking about public relations and you're writing an article, or a press release to be, released there. I would ask it to pretend you are a publicist or you are this individual. This is the company that you're dealing with. This is what they do. This is what they're trying to accomplish. Write an article that hits on these points. And so when you're utilizing AI, it's very important to give it clear and concise instructions of what data and what you are looking for, because that can really assist with narrowing things down. If I had a lease that I wanted maybe to see if there's anything missing, I would literally maybe even copy the lease itself, word for word from the document, and I would go into ChatGPT and I would pretend you are a realtor or a lawyer or whatever the case may be. Analyze this lease, see if there's any missing sections in it, or if there's anything that I should make sure to look into based on what you read below. And then paste the lease. It will go through that information, act as a lawyer, act as a realtor, act as whatever prompt that you give it to, and it will give you back the feedback that you're looking for. But asking those questions very concisely and understanding who you want the bot to really act as, instead of just a general Google in that terms, will really help simplify things and give you a more direct and concise response.
Right. So one of the things that came up recently here, because everyone kind of dabbles a little bit in AI, is our security and making sure that we don't put anything personal or proprietary in any prompts. And so I think I heard that if in certain paid versions that there is more of that kind of protection in place. That's jumping forward a little bit in our questions, but I just wanted to ask that more for myself as well. Is that true?
Yes and no. I would just caution folks that anything you put online is at risk of of being everybody's. That's just the hard and fast rule. And so even if you think you're in a secure spot, I would always operate as if you are probably not. I mean, that's just good online, personal data protection and just I think online etiquette to begin with. Certainly, if you're using a free version, everything you do on there is training that AI. It's training that data set, that data model, that big data model. So it's training it. So all of that information you put in there will be used in some form or another to help train the AI model. With paid versions, you can set up your own projects or your own events or your own activities, which are contained to the documentation and the data that you provide. So it doesn't look beyond what you've given it to look at. In that respect, the information is still used for the big data model learning, but also depending on how you're paying and what you're using it for. Like if you have a professional or one of the higher level pay models, you can have some certainty around data protection. But again, these things are all very limited. Remember, they're in the business of growing this model to be better. And so there's always going to be an avenue where they're using that data. So, you shouldn't be putting personal information out there. You shouldn't, be disclosing confidential trade secrets, for example. You shouldn't be, necessarily showing proprietary code or using it to help you build code that's yours, right? If it's proprietary. So I think anything that has an ownership value, you should continue to treat that as like a card very close to your chest and not sharing that online, AI or otherwise, right?
Absolutely. Totally agree with Lawrence. For example, code-based aspects, you can, ask it about a specific set of code and see if there's any errors in it, but I wouldn't upload the entire code base to it.
Yeah.
Definitely treat it as, it is a robot in general, right? So the more information that we feed it, the more it learns, the more it grows. And so all that information is being digested by this robot. Not necessarily saying that, OpenAI or Meta is going to steal a business idea that you have. They've got other things to focus on, but at the same time, you want to protect what you have as your own and what's proprietary to you guys. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. For example, if you're asking for it to make a marketing strategy for you and like a go-to market strategy or whatever the case may be, or just social media stuff, I wouldn't really care too much about that or telling it maybe what our strategy is when utilizing marketing and how we can really kind of hone in on our product line. But other than that, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
So if we were jumping back, say, for example, to that lease example, and you were saying, you put in the agreement and you want it to look at it with a certain lens, in that case, you'd probably want to redact certain pieces that.
Yeah. Don't put your social insurance number, don't put your home address, just, remove anything that's personal or that could be, nothing really kind of personal to that degree, but the rest of the lease is no problem. The non-disclosure, the non-compete, stuff like that, in agreements and stuff like that is good to go, but yeah, don't use social insurance numbers or anything like that.
So that kind of jumps us a little bit forward in our questions, but I mean, we're kind of already talking about some of the risks and security issues. And so when we're talking about that, I mean, a lot of people have concerns about AI. So what are, the big conceptual kind of risks and threats and those kinds of things that come with this kind of technology?
Go for it, Maya.
Okay.
No, yeah.
In regards to risks and stuff like that, there's a lot of fear around AI. It's going to consume us, it's going to take over, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. Don't let that fear mongering and just all of that get to your head. It all depends on how you utilize AI and how we respected into our lives. And so when you take the approach of this is my personal assistant, I can give it however much knowledge that I want, not the other way around, and that's completely fine. When we're talking about, privacy and all of that, I wouldn't say there is anything to really worry about as long as, again, you're taking the precautions that any sensitive information is not being put out there. But other than that, I think like AI, we need to treat it as an assistant to us, not something that's going to completely wipe us out. And so when we take that perspective into operating it, we can really treat it as a tool that advances our capabilities instead of a tool that's completely going to replace us in general.
Yeah, I agree. I think just at a really high level, like people are freaked out that AI is going to become sentient and it's going to take over the world. And I think that's all a whole lot of fantasy and not real at all.
Yeah.
You got to remember that this is just AI is, and Maya, I think, hinted at this earlier. It's just, its real power is its ability to process volumes and volumes and volumes of data in a sequence in a manner that gets you to your objective in seconds, which would otherwise possibly take you hours, weeks, or months to do. That's the power. That's the value of the AI. And so this artificial intelligence, this quote unquote intelligence isn't really there. It's not smart. It's only as smart as the questions you ask it. And where you point it in terms of finding that answer or that solution. So I think there's nothing to be afraid of here. Just get out and use it. And I think in a responsible way and in a good way. And we talked a little bit about that. I think some of the challenges or the risks is that we have to remember that because it is a tool that looks at data, the AI can inherit biases. So you should be cautious about which models you use and how they're trained, so that you're not subject to that bias or that kind of or on a process or on a pathway that's not really aligned with your values or who you are as a person. I also think that one of the practices we do is we're very clear with our clients when we are using AI generated information or sources or other intelligence. So we disclose that. We're very clear about when we do that. So there's no confusion about that. I think there's an ethical responsibility to do that. So if you're using AI to help you generate documentation or create imagery or illustrations or do some data analysis, I think it's important that you disclose that for sure.
Absolutely. And to touch upon what Lawrence just mentioned about biases, again, AI is honestly just a way to, simplify data and give you direct answers right away without you having to scroll through Google and multiple different websites to read articles and figure out this information yourself. How I like to think of it is imagine it's my brain, and now I just have to use my heart and intuition to determine whether I want to proceed with this data or not. And so that's how you should go about it. The less that I have to think, the better in my perspective. And I just go with my gut and what, feels right. And when you make decisions that way, you drive, your everyday with kind of the way that you want to do things. And I think it gives us that ability to make decisions or to analyze the data quickly and with the right information, or maybe not. But that allows you to make that decision of, okay, this feels right. This doesn't sound right. Maybe I should dig into this a bit more. And that's where you can ask it questions as if you're actually talking to this individual.
Mm-hmm. So we're kind of talking about, the questions that you can ask AI. And so maybe you guys can comment on, say, a prompt strategy, or basically how to structure your prompts in, the most effective way.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go first. It's okay.
Okay. Kind of like what I mentioned, um, the best way that I found really helps and narrows down, what you're trying to get across is to be very straightforward and very clear cut. So let's say, I want to create a marketing strategy for my company. I would go, pretend you are a marketing manager or a director of marketing or whatever, for a technology company. The company does this, that. This is their core product line. We need to create a marketing strategy that hones in on this aspect of things, on this aspect of things, and gets across this message, this message, this message. So you really want to have a clear idea of, one, what role do you want this individual to play as your instructor or your guide? Two, what are you truly looking for? What aspects of, when we're talking about a lease, for example, there's always sections in a lease that are, the same across any lease whatsoever. The term of the lease, the parties involved, et cetera, termination, whatever the case may be. And so what you need to narrow down is what you're truly looking for. And from there, you can even ask it to expand. Okay, awesome. This is the strategy. We need to do social media. We need to do B2B marketing. We need to do this, that. For social media, can you create a plan? How often should I post? What kind of content should I post? What is out in the market right now that can help me utilize, like what tools can I use to create these things or brochures or whatever the case may be. And the more that you dig into it, step by step, the more advanced and more concise the answer will be. But I think the original prompt really has to give it a role to play. So think of it as wearing a hat. Do you want it to play a lawyer? Do you want it to play a marketing director? What role do you really want to give it? And I honestly my sentences are clear cut. Pretend you are a marketing director. Create a marketing strategy for a tech company. The company does this. We're trying to establish this. And the more clear that you are, the more concise the response will be.
Yeah, I think that's all, that's perfect. And I'll just give an example of how we use it. So we do voting events with First Nations across the country. And one of the tasks we need to do on this voting event is interpret the governing documentation around the election. So that'll be a document. This is an act or a law in terms of how that election is to be conducted. And if it's oftentimes, well, in almost every instance, those codes or those laws are written differently. Like it's not the same for every nation. They have custom codes. So part of our job is to take that document, and how we would do it in the old school way was to actually have a staff person read that document from front to back number of times, and then create an action plan in terms of deliverables for that document to deliver the election pursuant to and in accordance with that governing law. And so we have a very so that person would have a very set standard of questions it would need to answer and actually create a timeline and an action plan to actually implement that election code. Now, these codes can be anywhere from 30 pages to 100 pages, and they're legal documents, right? They're written by lawyers. So what we do with Claude or with Chat GPT is we create a project or a customized Chat GPT or a project in Claude, and we drop that document into Claude, and we have already written out our instructions because we've done this so many times. It's the same boilerplate process for every voting event. We have those instructions on a separate document. We drop those into the AI, and we just say execute. And it gives us an executive summary. It gives us all the high-level summary of actions or critical aspects that need to take place. It gives us a timeline. It gives us an execution strategy. And one of the things we ask it, are there any conflicts or any inconsistencies in this document that we should be aware of? And so it'll come back and say, yeah, there's a time conflict between this step and this step that for a person reading would sometimes be hard to catch, because that timeline element might be on, one element may be on page 3 and the other element may be on page 50. right? So giving, having those instructions predefined and just dropped in. And so now we do a document election code review in about 4 minutes and have a plan produced for us to execute that we can then activate, where that would ordinarily take anywhere from a day to 3 days to do. So you think about efficiency and effectiveness of how we use our people and the time required to do that work. That's the multiples there are in the double digits in terms of how more efficient and effective we can be. And that's a reduction in time, it's a reduction in cost to us, which then translates to our clients. So in terms of driving down those. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. So those questions and how you focus it is really, really important. There are all kinds of resources. When you use ChatGPT for the first time, you just ask it, how do I use you effectively? And it'll direct you to a webinar or documentation that you can look at, and it'll give you a printout. To see if I have one here, but because it's anyway, I'm not going to look for it, but no shortage of resources on how to do that for sure. Yeah. Hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. And something else that I've used it for is to create courses. And it doesn't even have to be it creating the course itself. It can give you, just the outline of what topics that you want to study underneath it. For example, if you're looking to learn organic chemistry, you can ask it, I'm a beginner, but I want to learn organic chemistry. In what order do I have to learn specific things? And it will give you step by step. You should learn about covalent bonds and then this and intermolecular, everything in order that you need. It will provide it to you. So there's a lot of ways to use it. There's a lot of different prompts that you can ask it to do, but having those clear instructions, like Lauren said, is very important.
Just add just one last thing, because I think it's important, especially if you move to the paid versions, that the AI has learning built in terms of how you use the AI. And so this is because I saw a question pop up in the chat just around tone and things like that. And remember that the AI can inherit biases. So if you have biases and those biases are filtered into the types of questions you're asking in the work that you're doing, that bias is going to permeate and continue to kind of evolve back out. And so tone is important. I always, and tone is oftentimes just good manners. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Great work. And then the response or the engagement is reciprocated. And so in some respects, it starts to feel way more comfortable to use the technology because it's interacting with you in a way that you would expect to be interacted with.
Yeah. And then even for tone, you can ask it for the specific tone you're looking for. Like, let's say you're writing a caption for an Instagram post for your business. You can say, very confident, very direct, very boom, write a caption alongside obviously what the caption should be about. Or you can ask it to be bubbly and fun, and this is the tone of your business, and to utilize that, and it will readjust everything that it's spitting back out to match that tone.
Yeah, I had my daughter work with me this summer. She's 16, and so she came on as an intern. And part of her job this summer was to help her dad do some TikToks about the company. And so I used the AI tool to help build a plan for her for the summer. And I said, "This is my daughter. She's 16 years old. These are her interests. These are her, blah blah blah." And I said, "Help me write a work plan for her for the summer, essentially that a 16-year-old would understand, 16-year-old girl would understand and relate to, working for her father in this company." And I have to say it was brilliant. She read it, she loved it, we laughed about it, and then we went on and made some really killer TikToks this summer. So if you had asked me to do that without that kind of technology support, I would have just been like, I don't even know where to start. Like it's crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to dance on camera, I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's actually really valuable because that's a really common question that I get asked in advising sessions is, I really don't like marketing. I don't like the social media marketing. I know I have to do it, but I don't know how. And so commenting on, the tone that you might have in captions, or like the approach to starting that marketing, like what do I tackle first kind of thing. I'm just getting ahead of my advising to everyone here on this session to answer that question before you talk to me. Okay, so I think, we've kind of started the conversation about, kind of ways to start to begin using AI. And personally, I've seen a lot of really cool ways that it's being used. And I was just wondering if each of you have an example, a really innovative example of how a business or a startup has used AI to just do something really cool for their business.
Lawrence, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like we do cool things every day with AI, so I don't even know where to start. Yeah, we maybe like just a little bit in terms of like, there you can use AI as a standalone tool. It doesn't need to be integrated with your software or your current website or your applications. Like that's a whole other level of conversation. I think that's a different conversation. But you can, you can use this tool in so many ways. I just used an example with my daughter. I used the election code review example. I've used it to do a valuation of my own a market valuation of my own company in terms of a step-by-step process, and walk me through each step and create an artifact. When I say artifact, just means create a document. And then even take that and create a number of visualizations for me around what does that mean in terms of who we are, and it's pretty powerful stuff. Sometimes it's bang on, sometimes it's not, but you just keep at it. So, we use it for all of our scheduling, for example, right? If you wanna schedule a meeting with me, we connect you with we use Evie.ai. That technology will schedule an appointment, look at my calendar, and it knows when I have space available, and what meeting conditions look like for me, and it'll find a spot and pop you in there, and then we can, I just speak to it like it's a human being. Like, I want to have this meeting in Zoom, I want to have this meeting in Teams, I want this meeting to be a phone call, I'd like to go for a coffee, can you find us a place that's close to Maya's office, which is here, find us a place there that it'll do all that work for you in a moment and schedule that meeting. It'll remind you that the meeting is upcoming. It'll remind me if there's tasks, if there's follow-ups. You just had this meeting. What are the follow-up items? How can I assist you with that? So there's just so many innovative and cool and creative ways that it can be used for. And for each of your entrepreneurs out there, or folks that are running a business, I'm sure your minds are racing with all kinds of ways you could use this to get some time back, but also to boost productivity by several multiples if it's used well.
Absolutely. And yeah, pretty much same here. It all depends, like whether we're talking about implementing it into the business, or, to advance your product line itself, or to assist you with actually running the business. And so I'll touch upon actually running the business itself, because that's what we've been really talking about. Again, just make note of all the departments in your business, and see where you can really begin and what priorities are required. So for example, let's say you just incorporated, you just started your business, you need to write a business plan. And so you can actually utilize ChatGPT to assist you with this and to get your ideas out there. Like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you help me with maybe the go-to-market strategy behind the business plan? Can you assist me with the introduction, the explanation of what we do, maybe that elevator pitch? Because, founders are always the worst at trying to explain their business in just 1 or 2 sentences. And so you can really utilize it in that sense. Or whether you need a sales pitch, you have a sales team and you need to generate that, I can feed it, if I wanted to implement the 4 impulses in sales or specific aspects of the pitch, I can ask it to create a sales pitch for a face-to-face interaction, cold call. It needs to have this, that, generate this for me. And then, of course, you can tweak it yourself and all of that fun stuff. But if we go into, how can it really advance your product? For example, I'll explain a tiny bit more about my company. What we do is we aggregate all of the booking platforms into one. So it's all women on here, so it's perfect. You've probably used MindBody before, Vigaro, Fresha, any of those tools to book your hair salon, your nail salon, whatever the case may be. What we do is we connect all of them together and provide one app for consumers to basically book their appointments on. So think Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, for personal services. Now, what we're implementing and utilizing AI for is now getting to really become that personal assistant for you. So for example, let's say Andrea goes and gets her nails done every 4 weeks. The AI on the back end can see that she books every 4 to 5 weeks her nail appointment. And let's say Andrea has connected her calendar to Roar. The AI can go ahead and say, hey, Andrea, you're overdue for a nail appointment in the next week or so. We see that you're available 4 p.m. on Thursday, and so is your favorite nail salon, ABC, whatever. Do you want us to go ahead and book that in for you? And so these little streamlined conveniences, or to really create that customer experience, is what AI is really, really good at. And so another example that you can utilize it for is, let's say tech support, not even tech support, just support in general. There's a lot of those chat boxes that you can implement onto your website or whatever the case may be that can really support your customers if they have questions. They don't have to call in or email or anything like that. Or even just, creating email templates, so to assist you with outreach or anything like that, I think is a really good way for AI to be utilized.
So Elaine, I would totally focus, just I think as Maya's saying, focus on those things that allow your business to scale. Focus on those things that give you more time back, and just don't overcomplicate it. Not all aspects of your business need AI. Focus on where it can provide the most value, and use that experience to grow. I also think that this technology is evolving so quickly. So if I think about our company a year ago, did not integrate any AI at all. If we fast forward to today, we have at least 3 AI solutions that are fully integrated into our day-to-day operations, right? And those solutions are evolving just at a record pace. And so, the best time to have started to use AI was 12 months ago. The next best time is today, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to jump over into our Q&A questions. But one of the things I saw through the chat and through Q&A that I can give you guys a breather and just answer really quick is, what's a list of AI tools? And I think that might be a great first place to create a prompt and throw it in there and personalize it a little bit on your own, each of you. Like what are some great basic AI tools that I can implement into my fill in the blank business, my hair salon business, my coffee shop business. Okay, so one of the questions we have here from Ethan is, would you please speak about automations and maybe some that you're currently using in your business? I think, Lawrence, you mentioned some.
Yeah, maybe just clarify what automations mean. From a software perspective, is that what he's thinking? Is that Ethan?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. So maybe I can, we use, I'm not sure if I can answer the question as he's intending, but so from a software solution perspective, AI has allowed us to do a whole bunch of things just, again, faster. So when we look at it, so when we do some code work, for example, we create some new code, or we're creating a feature or some form of enhancement to our current code base. We can run that through our AI solutions. So in this case, probably Claude, and do some quality assurance testing on that. So is this code good? Tell us where there's gaps in this code. Tell us how we could make this code better, given this is the parameters that we want to achieve, or this is the outcome we want to achieve. And so we can run it through, say 600 different tests in a matter of seconds. Where if we didn't have that, our dev team would have to go through that line by line. They'd have to have a test site. We'd run through, see if it breaks, all that kind of good stuff. Hours and hours and hours and hours of work that we can now automate through AI and have done in seconds. And so again, that feeds the productivity of our development team by several multiples, right? Because we don't have 3 people dedicated to doing this quality assurance or this testing or this code verification line by line. It can just happen automatically using that tool, and so it makes us more efficient. We can iterate faster. We can push new features faster. We can develop faster than we ever could, even over a year ago, by several multiples, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly the same, like where you can feed it information, it runs through it for you and kind of concises everything for you to be able to ask any questions that you require. So data analysis, but again, to maybe utilize the example of that support box there, all you have to do is just feed it some typical frequently asked questions, and have the support chat on your website to really kind of narrow down what customer questions can be escalated to a support team member or can just be answered right off the bat. And when you're getting a lot of emails or support questions, you really want to just kind of focus on the ones that is not a simple answer. For example, how do I change my credit card, or how do I cancel my subscription? Simple things like that can be really automated, and using a chatbot for that for support is a great way to automate a few things. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different aspects and tools out there that you can utilize. It just, again, depends on what you're looking for.
Okay. So I have a couple questions, one from Ramona and one from Sarah, and they're kind of trying to get at the similar sort of question. So Ramona's asking, can you recommend a user-friendly AI app to edit videos? And then Sarah's asking, can someone recommend AI tools that would edit images to specific written specifications? So they need to be altered. So kind of, creative editing apps.
Yeah, Lawrence, if you don't mind, I'll take this one first. Honestly, I would go back and say, ask ChatGPT. It will give you a few great options, and then just dig into them. Maybe watch a little demo video or look at the website. But again, I believe I've used, so Adobe has a great Photoshop AI tool where you can describe exactly what you want to create, and it will create that photo for you. And then I think, let me just pull it up. Where was it? Sorry, I did have, I think it was Jasper. Copy AI. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would utilize that. Even Hootsuite would be great, and Canva. Canva actually has some new AI updates on there that can adjust images and stuff like that. I haven't really played around with video ones, but I'm sure there's plenty out there. I mean, if people can replicate Beyonce's voice, I'm sure they can help you with any kind of tool that you're looking for. So yeah, I would just say ask ChatGPT. Ask it, because these are the kind of things that you don't have to dig through Google for the answer. You can just ask it simply, I need this functionality and I'm trying to be within this price point. Give me some good tools to utilize.
Yeah, I put a couple in the chat, just some of the things we played around with early, not our area of focus, but as part of our learning process on how to use the tools and potential of these tools. We played around with some of these, and we were able to create a number of short video shorts using AI personalities that we designed through an interactive interface with those solutions. We gave the person context and persona. And then gave it content, and it created some really great videos. And so we're able to edit those and adjust those pretty creatively. So it was a lot of fun. Not our core business, so we did it as a learning tool, but a lot of fun to play with for sure. So lots of tools out there for sure. And to Maya's point, you have a question, just ask the AI. That's my son's. I told my son, just ask it. see what it has. See what the answer is, and if you don't like the answer or you're not clear, ask for clarification. It'll give it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a perfect example of, what AI is truly useful for. Instead of like maybe 2 years ago, I would have had to ask video creation platforms and, AI, whatever. And I would have to dig through each website and kind of understand what the product actually does, maybe get a demo, all of that. But you can now just ask ChatGPT to dig through all of those platforms and give you the best ones based on customer reviews or functionality, price point, anything like that.
I agree. I do find myself, when I have those questions that I would normally enter into Google, I find myself gravitating towards AI because it can take all of those sources and put it all into that one response. One of the quick questions in the Q&A, Lawrence, is if you could just share really quickly, Evie.
I did. Yeah, I put it in the
okay,
I
great.
did. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Great. So we're just coming to a close here. And I really wanted to thank Maya and Lawrence for sharing their time today and their expertise. And, it really is it's such a big topic that I hope we covered off just a small piece of it for everyone. So thank you very much. Just at the tail end of our call here today, I wanted to just mention some upcoming promotions and encourage you all to sign up for our newsletter and e-blasts on our website at we-bc.ca. Thanks again for all of you for tuning in today. And like I said, if you have suggestions on future webinars or you have questions on some really burning questions, feel free to send them our way. But thanks for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
I've just launched the feedback poll. If you could just take a quick second there and fill it in, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All the very
Thank
best, everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.